Recording. Welcome everybody to the Healthy Brotherhood Experience. Sitting in for my co-host Lucille Boyd, who is away celebrating his anniversary, is our behind the scenes third party of the Healthy Brotherhood Experience, our IT guy and National Vice Captain, Daryl Randall. What's up? I'm your other host, JT Hell here. Yeah. So we got a serious topic to talk about tonight. Fortunate to have two of the brothers from the Brotherhood here who also work in some aspect of law enforcement. Brother George Morse, who is our vice captain for Philly, and from the Bay Area, all the way out there on the West Coast, Captain Onyanga Dean. Glad to have both of you brothers on here.
Glad to be.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate y'all bringing us on.
Hey, I appreciate you guys taking the time out, man. So I'm gonna start with you, George. Give us a little bit of your background, where you're from and what you do.
Okay. So as far as in reference to Black Men Run, I've been running with BMR, the Healthy Brotherhood, since the spring of 2015. Been serving in leadership as a vice captain with the Philadelphia chapter since the summer of 2020. Took over with my brother Lawrence Harrington, who serves as the captain. We took over at a time when the country is at a civil unrest, coming off of the death of George Floyd and coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic in the summer of 2020. So it was like the country is at a crossroads and we had to make a decision on how we was going to move forward. So taking over the chapter at that time was it was very like a noble, moving forward into our future and just kept on marching forward, with everything going on in the country. But I believe we got a strong chapter here in Philadelphia, and I'm happy to be a part of the leadership team. As far as law enforcement, been in law enforcement for a totality of 17 years. 12 years of that, I have been serving as a deputy sheriff with the Philadelphia County Sheriff's Office in the city and county of Philadelphia. Now I serve at the rank of sergeant. Experience working in a fugitive warrant unit. We track down fugitives, looking for people who don't want to be found. Very intense job. A lot of investigative work goes into that, and it can be dangerous at times. But when you got a team that you trust and you do that with, you can get the job done and help keep the streets safer than what they were. Bringing people to justice that need to be brought down to justice and held accountable. Also worked in the courts for some time, high-risk trials, big high-profile jury trials and bench trials and things of that nature. Did some patrol work, working in bike patrol. And now I assigned to the protection from abuse order unit here in Philadelphia, making sure we get these protection orders served and weapons relinquished from people who have to have them relinquished until everything gets resolved in court in reference to the protection from abuse orders.
Wow, that's exciting. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Got a question for you, George.
Yes.
So what drives your passion for running?
Just trying to stay in shape. You can't be in this profession and just letting yourself go. Because I might be getting older, but the guys that's out here just ripping and running, they can be younger than me. My nephew's age or even younger. So I just got to be able to hold up with these guys and just to just have a healthy lifestyle and just have some longevity and just try to defy the odds that our ancestors were up against, with high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease like that. All those different stereotypes and health disparities that we face as African Americans.
Okay.
No doubt. Brother Onyanga.
Well, that was an impressive resume right there. I think Brother George has done enough for both of us. So,
I'm pretty sure you're doing it, man.
Well, yeah, I'm on the other side of it, not only on the other coast, but I'm in a different aspect of law enforcement. I'm actually a parole agent administrator. So I work with the Department of Corrections out here in California. Started off in probation because I knew that we needed some representation there. So I appreciate you doing what you do, Brother George, over there, because we need representation in everything.
Yes.
So I graduated from probation to parole because we still needed representation there. Some of the assignments that I've worked are gang, sex offenders. I've rolled out when I was a little bit younger, rolled out, knocking on doors with different police departments, Richmond, Oakland, San Francisco. So I've had those exciting type of jobs, but now I'm in administration, so I kind of kick back. I rarely ever get my hands dirty, but that's what I do. I've been the captain of BMR Bay Area since 2020. Took it over during COVID. Been with BMR since 2015 with Brother Kyrie Ayers. So he actually saw me at a race in Oakland. One of my buddies in Sacramento, he used to be a vice captain in SAC. So I thought the shirt was cool, and I was already a runner. And one of the reasons why I was doing the running is because I knew working in law enforcement and being a brother, I mean, with the statistics, like Vice Captain George said, the basically the odds are against us with the health risk, and then you couple that with law enforcement. So law enforcement and military, I mean, you get decent pensions, but the death rate is pretty high, I guess, because of the stress. So running is imperative for me. Yeah, that's me. Did I miss anything?
Hey man, I think you covered it all.
Yeah, you covered a lot, brother.
Okay.
Thank you for your service.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Both of you brothers. Appreciate you, man. Like you say, we need representation every level, every facet. I think that makes a huge difference, specifically in our justice system. And so the reason I wanted to have you brothers on, this is something that really affects us all in this country. These active shooter situations, they seem to happen anywhere, anytime. It's crazy how frequent that it has gotten. I looked at one stat. I was trying to see how many we had. I think the last stat I pulled was for May 8th. May 8th is the 128th day in the year, 2023. By that day, we had 202 active shooter situations. So we had more situations than days in the year. That's crazy to me. And for the general public, anybody listening who may be unclear on what an active shooter situation is, I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but just for clarity, defined as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined and populated area. Anywhere. And as we've seen, the cycle is, it happens, everyone's in an uproar, everybody's shouting gun control, blah, blah, blah. A week or two goes by until the next one. And then it's a repeat. And so I wanted to have you guys on. I've taken an active shooter, I guess you call it survival course. It was online at the job, required. So I had it on while I was working, but it was very informative. But at the same time, it was kind of triggering too, I'll be honest. So for you brothers in the field, I know Onyanga says he's got some stats. George, I know you're definitely hands-on.
Yes.
Things people can do to potentially survive these situations. There's no guarantees, obviously, no promises, but just things that can possibly make a difference.
I can speak to that. So as far as like things that people can do to try to survive a active shooter situation is we can look to the run, hide, and fight concept. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
So the run, hide, and fight concept is something that law enforcement and that other professionals look to nationally across the country since the active shooter training scenarios have came about. So if we break down the run part of that concept, run when an active shooter is in your vicinity. If there is an escape path or attempt to evacuate, make that move. Evacuate with others, whether they agree or not, to leave your belongings behind. Don't try to take too much time of grabbing things. This is a real active situation, evolving rapidly. So, just grab your things and go, whatever you can. Help others escape if you possibly can. Prevent others from entering to the area where the active shooter is actively shooting at. Call 911 when you are safe. As far as the hide concept, hide. If evacuation is not possible, find a place to hide. You can lock or blockade the door, silence your cell phone, hide behind large objects, remain very quiet. Do your best to remain calm and quiet. And as far as the fight compact part of it, it's basically fight as a last resort and only if your life is in danger. Attempt to incapacitate the shooter, act with physical aggression, and improvise weapons. Whatever you have that you can use as a weapon in your proximity. You're going to have to fight. The way your mother, whoever raised you, taught you how to get somebody off you. You're going to have to try to get them off you. Commit to your actions. Be aware of your environment, and always have an exit plan, no matter what. So that's the run, hide, fight concept. Just breaking down those three, different parts of the run, hide, fight concept, and there's more to it if we go into it. As far as like when first responders come on the scene, 911, the first law enforcement personnel that's actually on the scene of an active shooter situation, they're going to basically, be the first ones to respond to it. So they're going to assume command of that post until the sufficient police personnel get on location, as far as like SWAT and basically an incident commander. When they get on scene, basically it's the contact team that's going to go through that area that needs to that needs to be cleared. But then when they come through, they're not coming through to search and rescue. They're coming to make contact with that active threat and basically stop that threat, neutralize that threat.
Okay. So people thinking about, go ahead, Darrell.
I'm sorry. My question is asked to Captain Dean. Leading up to the days of a possible active shooter situation, are there any signs that people could look out, let's say from, their coworkers or classmates, that may be, triggering or a sign that something is about to occur? Are there any signs that people look out for?
Absolutely. First thing I always say, and what I teach my staff, is to trust your spidey senses. So if you're say you're in a movie theater and it's a hot day in Philly, it's about 80 degrees in Philly, you see somebody coming in with a trench coat on, and just look for that odd duck and trust those spider senses. Also, as far as co-workers, know your people, and if somebody is acting off, whatever else, then those should be triggers, and we just have to pay attention to things. If somebody makes a threat, whether you think it's a joke or not, you need to report that. Report that to a supervisor. Report that to authorities. Often, in a lot of these cases, we're seeing that parents, we love to protect our kids, but if there's something going on with that child, then pay attention to the signs, and by all means, I own several weapons, but we have to practice safety and lock them away, store them in a safe place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess what's puzzling, and I know we've all seen this before with some of these younger shooters who live at home, and apparently they just got a room full of weapons, just crazy amount of weapons. And I'm thinking, has a parent not seen these weapons in a room? They may not be laying out, or they could be laying out. I don't know. And if you've seen it, why aren't you saying anything? It's kind of crazy to me. I think in one of these situations, I can't remember, was this Nashville where they had a shooting? And I think this was a transgendered.
Yeah, that was Nashville.
And one of the classmates was saying that the shooter had sent them prior to the incident some kind of note. I don't remember what it stated or said or implied, but it just doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to, who it could be. Typically, we know is typically a male. Could very well be a white male, black male, Hispanic, Asian. I think we've had all four. I don't recall any situation where it's been a woman.
And brother JT, actually, so according to the FBI stats, 96% of the shooters were males or are males. So you're correct on that.
Yeah.
And another thing too, so JT, you're correct about them leaving these, leaving like notes. They call them manifestos. So a lot of active shooters, they prepare, these things are like premeditated. So they leave a manifesto, basically that's like a public declaration or statement. Sometimes they'll leave a 190-page paper manifesto. And we got to pay attention to the people around us. Like people are getting indoctrinated from music, from sites. They're getting involved with a lot of domestic extremism. They're following pages on YouTube, and they're just getting, they're getting swayed, and they're picking up. And just pay attention. It may be some type of they may start collecting some memorabilia. You may pay attention to whatever type of symbolism or flags or any tattoos they may be getting new, that may align with some hate groups or things like that. So that's what we got to start paying attention to, especially with the younger generation, with school students. And you got to let your kids know, people who have kids still going to school, like what signs and symbolism to look out for as far as flags, tattoos, what type of content are they looking at on the internet, on the web, and just so they can stay safe and know what to look out for. Like, hey, this guy had this on the back of his bumper sticker, or this person had this on their book bag. You know what this means? And it's trainings out there that you can take, just like you took with the active shooter one. It's domestic terrorism training that you can take, just to be up to date on what's going on in America, because there's a lot going on. It's just taking the time out there to to take the classes and the courses to, just to get the situational awareness.
I think awareness is a big thing. One thing I always tell my mom, because I'm always concerned about her, because she never stays at home. She's Miss On the Go. I always tell her, Mom, when you go places, make sure you are aware of where your closest exits are.
Yes.
I tell her this. I think I tell her this at least once or twice a week. Of course, I get the but I'm like, it's not a matter of living in fear. It's just a matter of arming yourself with an awareness. Yeah. You just never know what can make a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I'll just ask this. Let me ask you a question, George. Do you ever sit with your back to a window? Where do you sit when you go to a restaurant or anything else? Where do you sit?
Yeah, I sit with my face facing that door. I want to see everybody coming in and out.
Yep.
And sometimes my wife, she gets mad, but because it might have, the ambiance of the restaurant. She might want to sit in this seat, the way it's set up, and I'm like, babe, I gotta have this seat. I gotta have this seat. But you know, she understands though.
I think some of us learned that from gangster movies and some of our friends on the street who may have taught us that, never sent your back to the door. That was before after shooters. That was just
you can learn that just growing up in the neighborhood. You better see who coming in and out.
So I've had to explain that to a female friend. I'm like, it's just like when you're outside walking on the sidewalk. It's a man thing. The woman has to walk on the inside of the sidewalk. Same thing in a restaurant or wherever we're sitting. The man has to be facing the door. Because if they're facing the door, they're going to just be running the mouth, stuff popping all off, and then next thing you know, you laying on the ground.
And they definitely hate that. My wife hates that. Why do I have to walk on the inside of the sidewalk? Why can't I sit in? I said, I explained it to her, so she's finally getting it out.
Yeah, it's a man thing, and it's the correct thing. We're protecting. That's what we're doing. Protecting. Potentially protecting. Again, not living in fear, but just, it doesn't take a lot to be aware. I tend to have an eye for detail, so I notice things. I probably notice more than the average person because I'm a people watcher by nature. And and I'll tell you this, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was at the train station waiting on the train. This guy walks up, comes down the concourse. He has on, now it's not cold outside. He has on a jacket. He has on his mask and some kind of hood over his head and a sword in the sheath over his back. Now I look, it's kind of an odd sight. And I'm like, where the hell are you going at 8 o'clock in the morning with a sword? Maybe he's a sword instructor. I don't know. Maybe he had a class where he was, I don't know, but I'm not trying to find out. So I'm making sure I do not get in the same train car with him. In fact, I don't think any of us got in the same car with him. He may have just been a normal dude, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I ain't trying to find out. But, things like that. Other people, you coming from certain different areas, they probably wouldn't have paid it any attention, but that's something I don't see every day. Somebody walking around with a sword. Or as George implied, a trench coat in the summertime. But now with these kids, they wear these hoodies in the summertime. Why, I don't know, but that in itself is crazy. But if people get anything out of this particular episode of our podcast, it's I want them to be more aware of their surroundings,
especially when they're going out to these large gathering places and places that have been targeted. And to me, they seem like they're soft targets too that they choose, like places of like churches, schools, malls, concerts, supermarkets. These places are all, churches is where people go to worship. Schools is where we go for education. Malls is where people go with their family to shop. And concerts, people go to see their favorite singers or musicians. These are all places that people go to do with, with the people they love and their family and their loved ones and their close friends. So they should, people shouldn't have to worry about, a mass shooter coming in and just going postal. But we're living in a different day and time. So I'm glad that this is one thing I'm glad about being in law enforcement for, is that, during my generation, I can serve my generation by, taking the training and my experiences and trying to help prevent these situations and incidents from happening, and just putting my training and applying it if it happens in my vicinity or in, my jurisdiction, and just sharing pertinent information with the people who need to have it, who are out here traveling and going to these places, just letting them know what to look for and what to do in an event that they experience a harsh reality like this.
Absolutely. And then don't forget about the workplace too. There are actually more attacks in the workplace and schools, believe it or not. The numbers are actually higher.
Wow.
Yeah.
In fact, in the school system, I did not know this until someone told me. Of course, when we were kids, the most we would have to do would be a fire drill or a tornado drill. When I lived in Tennessee, we had tornado drills. I did not know that they are now having active shooter situation drills in some school systems.
Yes.
What to do if a shooter comes in. That's something I never would have even imagined as a kid.
Yes,
so
that's
something our kids are growing up with. It's part of their life.
Yes, that's a major initiative right now. There's a lot of school safety seminars, that's taking place across the country. If you see one in your area, in your state, in your county, I think you should sign up for it. And it's not just for law enforcement. I actually just signed up for one, and it's available for mental health professionals, people that work in education, people that work in cybersecurity, people that work in so many different levels of profession, because we're all involved. Like I don't work in the school, but I go to school to for like career exposure days and speak to the youth and things like that. So I don't want nothing to happen to none of the youngsters that's growing up. I want to see them come and go further than I want, so definitely not trying to see none of them, become one of the mass casualties that we see going across the screen, when things like this happen. So everyone should be involved, school staff, the parents, the crossing. We gotta turn this nation back into a village, what it was when you guys were growing up. Because I think the older people, they really grew up in a village.
Yeah.
Right.
There's been some open dialogue about people who openly carry guns or concealed carry. Like here in Michigan, we have concealed carry laws, the CPL. In general, so if you have a situation where there's an active shooter and you have a license to carry or open carry or concealed weapon, and we get this question all the time. I'm gonna relate it to running. So people who run, who feel like or know they're being threatened or have been threatened, and they have a gun on them. In general, what should be the case where they can actually protect themselves? This is like state by state, city to city. If you see an active situation, can you come help or try to stop that person? I guess that's my question.
And the person that's trying to intervene is basically they're lawfully carrying a firearm.
Right.
That's
right.
Yeah, so you should be state to state gun laws change, because you got I think some states we got the Castle Doctrine, and some states you got the Stand Your Ground law. What I can say is basically go review that concealed to carry policy in that county or that city that you're in, and that state that you carry, because I know state to state they're getting rid of concealed to carry licenses, and they're referred back to open carry, because they're looking at the city and the municipal jurisdiction is that they're infringing upon the Second Amendment. So it's like there's no need for the license to carry, there's no need for concealed carry. We're all open carry, and that's different states is going to have different languages and different doctrines, but just refer back to that. Because they might say one thing in my state, and then you go to Michigan, it may be something different. And in Jersey, it may be I know when you get further north, up on the East Coast, it gets kind of stricter.
Okay.
But when it comes to an active shooter, if you're going to, that's imminent danger. So that's the highest level, because you're a licensed to carry, you're a law-abiding citizen, you're carrying lawfully. You're basically going to be there when law enforcement comes to give your report and everything.
Yeah, I know there's a lot. Some people they've been told you can't engage, even though you openly carry and you have your license. If you happen to shoot that person, you might end up going to jail yourself. So it seems to need to be more education or more talk, more discussion on that, because people should be able to protect themselves. So
yes, and then exactly, there should be more education. because some people with license to carry, they might not know the fundamentals of basically firearms and the nomenclature of a firearm. Basically, knowing your target, knowing what's behind your target. So I guess they referring to not, shooting at your target and not knowing that it's children behind that target at the time, or other victims of that active shooter situation behind them. So it's just we have to know what's behind our target when we're shooting at our target as well. So.
Or your target and beyond. And Brother Daryl, another situation so my staff and myself, we're plain clothes. Majority of the time we're plain clothes unless we're doing an operation. So say you engage an active shooter, law enforcement shows up, how are they gonna know who's the active shooter and who's not if you're just civilian? So if you're calling that in, you need to be given a description, complete description. And once law enforcement arrives, you need to comply. Right. It's okay. I stop that all the time. It's okay if they take you down and put you in cuffs, whatever, at least you're not shot. Mm-hmm. But if you decide to go that route, and you better be given a description and everything else, and because how are they going to identify you?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The job is tucked in, but still, you coming in hot, you're an active shooter, so you could easily lose your life.
Yeah.
California laws are much stricter, so much more strict. And before I even engage anyone, because if I'm going to the movies or different places, sometimes I may carry off duty, but I'm always thinking. That's something I would give regular citizens too. Always play scenarios out in your head. Like, okay, if I walk into this theater, like one of you said earlier, JT said it, know the exits. Think about what you would do. I'm playing everything in my mind. Like if he's up on me, like George said, run, hide, and fight. A lot of people might think like, well, why would you fight? I mean, that's if you can't escape, if you can't run or hide, then you have to, because 60% of these active shootings end before police even arrive. So according to FBI statistics, it's 5 minutes or less. So how long does it take for with a 911 call? What's a reasonable amount of time for them to arrive?
Right.
See what I'm saying? Even if they arrive in 10 minutes. So a lot of people probably like, wow, fight? Based off what George said, yes. I mean, and you pick up whatever, and then you fight how your mama told you to fight.
Yes.
Survival. It's your survival. Because who is the onus on to protect you? It's you, your co-workers, just in case law enforcement can't make it in time.
It's you, period.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then you look at the recruitment and retention that law enforcement has been facing since the pandemic. It's not like it was pre-pandemic. So I remember we heard somebody say, nobody's coming. Somebody's coming, but they're not coming like the way you see them coming in the movies. And then you got to really wait for sufficient personnel to come, the ones who are really trained to handle these situations. That's going to come with the right equipment and basically enter that building and clear that building from the, systematically the way that it's supposed to be cleared and save lives. And that's your SWAT team. So.
And we're probably talking about a matter of minutes, but those minutes in that situation for the average person can probably feel like an eternity. Just waiting on it to end.
Yes.
Everything is relative. And so, they show up again, as you indicate, they don't know who you are. No one has a name tag that says victim, hostage, shooter, that would be great, but that's not the reality. So you got to help them out when they come to help you without the panicking, the hollering, the screaming, the running, all of that, do what they tell you to do. That should be pretty simple. But at the same time, I know people's you just got to think. I know people are acting out, they're emotional, reacting, scared, scared of life. You know, there's an active shooter right here, and you're telling me to get down on the ground. I ain't trying to get down on the ground. I don't want to get away. But it could turn out another way. You just don't know. So,
exactly.
But main thing, we want these situations to stop. I don't know how we're going to get it to stop. I don't know what we're going to have to do to stop. In the meantime, it continues. So before it ever gets to a point where we can stop it, we've got to arm people with information so that they can hopefully walk away from these situations. I don't know anyone who has died in one of these active shooter situations or has been injured, but I would imagine it has to be pretty traumatic, you know, dealing with knowing that they just didn't die of natural causes, health issues. A situation like this, that's very triggering. I wanted to tell you about a situation we had in my job, which ended up not being an active shooter situation. It really wasn't, but you know, they're acting on what they know at the time. We had one co-worker, I work at the federal court system, the 11th Circuit Appeals Court. So I feel pretty safe. You got to get past these marshals, and trust me, they are no joke. There was never really a threat to the employees inside the building. We went on lockdown. The guy ran away from good. He actually hit a telephone pole, got out of the car, had a gun, took off running. I think he was already trying to escape the police. So there really was no threat to us, but we don't know that at the time. We had one employee who locked himself in the supply room or whatever. I don't know. I didn't find out about it until later. And apparently we'll just say he was very upset, but he was the only one. And, you know, you had a few people kind of laughing at the dude. I felt bad for him. I'm like, you guys, you know, you don't know what this dude has been through before. And this may have been something that really triggered, you know, some past experiences, and he just freaked out, you know. And again, we didn't know at the time. It very well could have been an active shooter situation versus someone just escaping the police and they have a gun, but they're running away from our building. So, you don't know, man. But I appreciate you guys coming through tonight. Some valuable information, definitely some stats and arm yourselves with awareness. Arm yourselves with awareness, guys.
So I pulled some, if I could share, I pulled some gun violence archive stats earlier today. So just looking at the mass shootings, going back to the last 7 years, evidence-based research. The website's been up since 2013. So I'm just covering the mass shootings. So in 2016, across the nation, we had 383 mass shootings. 2017, we had 348 mass shootings. 2018, we had 336 mass shootings. 2019, we had 417. Here's when it ticks up. 2020, we had 610 mass shootings across the nation. 2021, we peaked at 690 mass shootings. 2022, we came down to 647 mass shootings. And as of today, June 21st, 2023, mass shootings, the number across the nation reported was 319 at this time. And 25 mass murders, number of children that were killed as a result of gun violence. This is just not mass shootings. This is just as a result of gun violence, 133 as of today's date. It's just so much going on across the nation. It's in regards to gun violence, period, that everyone just needs to take an all hands on deck approach and just get more knowledge, education, and like you said, JT, more awareness.
And that's it.
Conversations like this, I mean, definitely helps. The more we share, make people aware.
Yeah.
Sure.
And this is timely because at the time I scheduled you guys, I hit you up. We had just had one. And I think that obviously there have been a few more since then.
Wow.
But, you know, it's a topic we will definitely revisit. Anybody got anything else? Daryl, you got anything?
Yeah. On the fun side, let's brighten it up a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Captain D, let's start with you guys. Any big races coming up other than our 10-miler, our 10-mile 10th anniversary in Atlanta?
So yeah, I'll start on that one. So I've been running for a while, and I like to dibble and dabble a little of everything. So I also do triathlons. Last year I had a rotator cuff. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, last year I had rotator cuff surgery. So you know that's if anybody's had it, you know that's like a 6-month ordeal. So I'm doing my first triathlon, and it's been close to 3 years. So I'm doing that next month. I'm actually doing 2. So one here locally in the Bay Area, another one in Lake Tahoe. So back to back. Heading back to a marathon in December. So yeah.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Hey.
And then of course October, I'll see y'all brothers there.
That's
yes, sir. All right.
That's right.
Good luck.
That's
Good luck with your triathlon. It's good to see your brothers hitting that water in that bike too.
See, there we go. That's what you need to come out here and do Alcatraz with me.
Yeah, I heard about it. I'm like, yeah, that's actually on my list.
Yeah, come on. I've done it 3 times. I know it like the back of my hand.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we got here?
What about you, George?
Yeah, just the what I'm looking forward to celebrating our 10-year anniversary. For our local chapter in Philadelphia, me and Brother Lawrence Harrington, we decided to celebrate our 10th year anniversary in September. I believe that's when the Philadelphia chapter started in 2013. We chose the Philadelphia Distance Run, which is a half marathon that's been going on in Philadelphia for some time now. So that weekend we'll celebrate our chapter's anniversary. We'll do that whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Just highlighting, doing some things, and you know, just to kick back, fellowship, man, and just celebrate, you know, our chapter, and just look forward to coming down to Atlanta in October as well, the next month.
Oh yeah. Well,
awesome.
We appreciate both of you brothers joining in. It's been educational, been very educational.
Yes.
So, JT.
Thanks.
Hey, and you have just experienced the Brotherhood. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, JT.
The
Appreciate
word
you.
of our co-host. I'm trying to get it right, Desire.
There you go.